Welcome, everyone. Today, I have the pleasure of interviewing Kate Yoder of Kate Yoder Wellness. I'm so excited about this call today because I discovered you on Instagram and was instantly drawn to your story. And I'm just really excited to share with everyone. So, for anyone who's ever tried giving up alcohol and then didn't have the magical, blissful time of that everyone talks about, I hope that this conversation will be a gift and just learning from you. So, Kate, you help women, it sounds like, alcohol-free women navigate their health after giving up alcohol through gut and liver support, detoxing years of toxicity, and restoring a sense of safety within the body. And your work blends physical healing and emotional support for women seeking lasting change beyond symptom management. So I'd love to just hear from you from your own words, how you got into this, wherever you want to start, but just a little bit about yourself would be great.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much. So I went alcohol free in 2019, and originally it did feel really, it felt great at first. The first few months, you feel like I was finally free. I will say I did have a little bit of a dependence with alcohol. And I just finally, after quitting, I just felt so just unshackled from the substances I thought I needed to get by. And that was great. And I thought, okay, I'm here. I did
Mm,
it. I'm happy with this. I'm at peace with this. I could do this for the rest of my life. And gradually, within the first couple of years, I just noticed symptoms creep in. At first, it was the familiar, common, but not necessarily normal issues, food sensitivities, kind of tossing and turning at night, a little bit of anxiety, nothing too alarming, but I just figured like, this is strange, right? I've given up alcohol.
mhm,
Here I am. I mean, what I thought to be the healthiest I've ever been, and eating right and working out. And, I just thought because I quit drinking, shouldn't I feel amazing? Like, what is there? What could possibly be? I'm the best I've ever been. And so I didn't want to go back to the old mindset though of numbing discomfort instead of trying to understand it. So I was unwilling to medicate and go down the whole Western medical route, just right away in root cause healing. And at first, I was just seeing some nutritionists, I was seeing some naturopaths. Like, I really didn't even really know what to ask. Like, I just described my symptoms. And the problem with the beginning of my healing journey was I was just on a lot of supplement protocols. I was just managing symptoms,
mm,
but without using pharmaceuticals, I was using the remedies. And while that I did find some relief and I was able to manage those symptoms for a bit, I was not getting to the root and it was snowballing. And after a few more years, I ended up having severe mast cell activation syndrome, really bad gut issues, really bad sleep issues, I had anxiety frequently. And it was just baffling to me. Again, I just felt like this is so unfair,
mhm,
right? Here I am at the time, like I thought, unable to drink, right? Like at first you have this sort of been
mm,
toward the, okay, I'm not allowed to drink, I can't drink. He could never really agreed with me. And so I'm like, okay, I finally made peace with that. And now I can't eat any foods I like,
mm,
sleep well. People always talk about in sobriety, it's so amazing to never experience a hangover ever again. And that just wasn't like, I would wake up and of course I was not hungover, but I would feel nauseous, anxious, tired.
mm.
And so it just, it really felt unfair until I started to just even dig deeper and I realized, okay, there's just more work to be done. Putting down the bottle for me was just 50% of my journey. There was so much more work to be done because if you think about the way that I was treating my body for so many years, there's a long list of the negative effects that alcohol can have on your body physically, but also emotionally. I was numbing and suppressing my emotions and even getting sober. I felt like now I'm sober. Now I'm so present at every event and there's nothing to feel shame for anymore. There was still lingering shame from my drinking days, right? And all those all that shame and that guilt and that anger and it was all just stored in my tissues basically.
Mm.
So there was a lot to unravel as far as physical healing and emotional healing. I had to rebuild my body from the ground up. Um,
Mm.
But I now look at it as such a beautiful thing. It's taught me so much, and I
Hmm.
absolutely love helping other women go down the healing route because whether you had a really serious relationship with addiction or dependence, or whether it was just something that no longer served you, I think we can all benefit from this kind of care to our body. And whether it looks like detoxing, replenishing, emotional release, I've been working on all the above, and that's something I've helped my clients with as well. But I think we can all benefit from this type of work. And I do now see it as a blessing that my body was simply just speaking to me through these symptoms and just saying, there's more work to be done.
Right.
Let's like I need help. That's where I found my passion today, helping other women get to that point too. And to summarize, so I will say, gut and liver healing was so important for me to it really move the needle for everything else because I was just throwing supplements that, an inflamed, stagnant gut and liver, and I really needed to actually drain and detox. And so that's where the detox work comes in. It's really powerful. And it also helps emotional release as well, which is literally half of the symptoms. So, yeah, that's a little bit of my story
Yeah.
and how I got here.
Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing.
Yeah.
There's so many things you said. I'm not sure which direction to go first, but I think a lot of people are wondering or trying to resonate with someone's story. And so I guess one of the questions I have just to start at the beginning is one, how did you know alcohol was a problem enough for you to stop? What was it that made you even consider sobriety? How long were you in that journey? And what was going on before 2019?
Yeah, absolutely. So I when I first started drinking as a high school, college student, it was really a social aspect of my life. It really wasn't, of course, I had my fun, but it wasn't anything too concerning at the
Mm,
time. But as years went on, it just became more of a dependence. It became more of my hangovers were like panic attacks, right?
mm,
Like I was just having anxiety. I was having like withdrawals, I guess you could say, and just maybe anxiety in general. And so the alcohol, of course, made me feel better. So it just became a crutch that I just over time just leaned on. It wasn't so much a social thing anymore. Just full transparency. I know that that can sound a little dark, but I just found myself in my mid 20s. I can't do this anymore. This is not fun. It's
mm,
making me sad. It's making me feel awful. But again, at the same time, I didn't know how to get out of it. I was like, yeah, there was always just an excuse, right? There was always an excuse to drink, whether it was after work because I had a long day at work, or there was dinner with friends, or a celebration, or even a time of sadness. There
mm.
was always a reason to drink. And I just thought, I'm just finding reasons at this point. It's because it just makes me feel, it eases my anxiety, it like numbs my problems. And I really just leaned on it for all the wrong reasons. And that it was no longer fun. It was no longer enjoyable. And it took me a little bit to get out of because there were many times that I just thought, Kate, you can't keep doing this, can't keep doing this. And but it sucks you back in. And a culture where we glamorize it, I was like, I don't want to give this up. I'm 25.
Mhm.
Like maybe later on. And it just got so bad to the point where it was just, I couldn't keep doing that to myself. And I also couldn't keep doing that to my loved ones either. I wasn't myself. I wasn't motivated. I wasn't the best version of myself, and I knew it. I knew though that when I quit, that would be it, like forever. Some people, are sober curious and they try it, they take a break and then they revisit it. I knew once I'm done for life. And it made a lot of sense because the first few weeks in, I felt amazing. First few months in, I felt amazing. And so it was like, there's no way I'm going back to that. And then once I started to really dig deep and heal my body physically and go down the whole root cause approach, I thought, okay, now I'm really never going back because I'm doing all of this work to kind of make up for all this and put the pieces back together. And I just want to feel good sober. I don't even care about drinking. I just want to feel good alcohol free.
Mhm.
So now it's just who I am. It's definitely never going to serve me ever again, and I'm more than happy with that. But I know how challenging it can be, which is another reason why I do this work because I know what it's like to not really have people to understand it in your real life, your friends or family who you see every day. It's not the most common thing to be alcohol free. So I want to be that support for other people to feel like they're on the right path and this path was really meant for them. And let them see that it's not happening to you, it's happening for you.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that Eckhart Tolle?
Yeah.
Does he say that? That's a spiritual teacher.
Actually, that's a
Yeah.
oh, it must be. I've heard it several times
Yeah.
and I'm like, it's just it's like something I just live by now. I'm like, anytime I feel sorry for myself with the whole thing that everything I've been through, the drinking and the symptoms afterward, I'm just like, oh, it's happening for me.
Yeah. I think Eckhart,
Yeah.
I'm reading actually A New Earth right now, and he does say, how do you know it's the experience to evolve your consciousness? I'm totally rewording it, but because it's the
Yeah.
experience you're having right now. And yeah, I think it comes from that. But
Yeah.
yeah, and it sounds like you've been able to turn some really challenging, difficult things into a blessing, if you would call that, or into your calling.
Yeah.
You've been able to make it your livelihood. How incredible to turn lemons into lemonade, so to speak. Right.
Exactly. No, and I'm sure as a healer, you know that too. We know how it feels.
Hmm.
So it's such a beautiful thing to be able to share our wisdom that we collected along the way and help others find it.
Yeah, I love that. And you said you recognize that it's not your best self. And I think that's like my
Yeah.
guiding light too, is that alcohol is, I practice yoga, and avidya is the layer of film on the windshield of life. It's misconception and ignorance. And I feel like that's what alcohol is. It's just like a layer of film on the windshield of life, no
Yeah.
matter how, at what level
I
you're
love that.
drinking. And
Yeah.
so to be our best selves, we can't have alcohol in our system,
I
another
agree.
toxin.
Even, yeah, it's even if you try and moderate it and it adds such a blocking us from our truth and yeah, I shouldn't live like that.
Yeah. Yeah. And you sound really in tune with yourself. And I wonder, have you always been that way? Like even as a kid, were you sensitive to your body, or like when did that start happening?
I think so, yeah. As far as being sensitive in a symptomatic, like nerve-wracking way, that didn't really happen until later on in life, but I always knew. Growing up, what sort of I think may have become the problem at one point is like I had ADHD, right? So I was put onto medication for that.
Mm.
And I think even back then, even though I was early high school age, I didn't really respond that well to it. So I think in general, yeah, I have always been a little bit sensitive and been a little bit like, this is my body doesn't respond well to this kind of chemicals or
Mm.
just like any sort of alteration that doesn't feel natural. I do feel like I have always been a little bit of the sensitive type. And maybe I didn't realize it so much when I was younger. But as I grew up and I started to just experiment with these types of, there's medication or alcohol or just anything, I'm just a very fragile, sensitive person. And I think that has definitely been obvious in my healing journey as well. Like when you try different supplements and you try to do all these things and if your body's, oh, that's too fast.
I've heard of mast cell activation. And is that something that you've
Yeah.
always had, or did that come on later in life?
That came on
Oh, wow.
later. Yeah. And I didn't even understand that I had it for a few years. I started to really feel symptomatic, I would say 2023 is when it really picked up. Before, like I said, it was the normal, like the gut issues and just like a little bit of fatigue and things like that. But then 2023, it really started to pick up, and I was like, why am I feeling nauseous all the time? Why am I so And like, I couldn't understand that my body was just having a flare,
Mhm.
right? So that's in the phase when like my body's broken. But it turns out I was actually just reacting to my specific triggers. And that's a little bit of the confusing part about mast cell activation syndrome. We all have such different triggers and different sensitivities. But yeah, so I discovered that in 2023, 2024, and it just put so many pieces together. It makes so much that my body is not feeling safe. They say that sort of the root of mast cell activation syndrome, what is it? What does the body need? And it's the body needs safety. And so if the body doesn't feel safe, it's sending off like alarm signals. Even if you know you are safe, you're in bed, you're comfortable, you're soothing, all these things. If I respond really sensitively to like physical stressors, like blood sugar, for example, I have TMJ, and that has been a huge part of my healing journey is to realign my jaw because that was a huge alarm signal threat to my
Oh,
system.
wow.
yeah, it really made me realize how much we might not be realizing that our bodies, whether we feel safe or not, like if it's not panic, like I wasn't having panic attacks, but internally my body, there's so much we need to calm down.
Right.
Yeah, that opened a whole other area of healing that isn't just, it was like the path with more detours, I would say. It wasn't just very straightforward. It was something to really consider. Yeah.
Yeah, and not everyone will probably be able to resonate or identify with mast cell activation, but I think the
Yeah.
broader message is that our bodies are giving us messages and signals
Yeah.
to some degree, and most of us are ignoring them.
No, I
Uh,
know it breaks.
yeah. Is that something that you help your clients, like just to be in tune with your
Yeah,
body? I don't know if you have any brief thoughts about
absolutely.
helping people do that.
Yeah,
Mm.
I do. Yeah, because again, at the beginning, I was so inclined to just be like, okay, should I just go to the dermatologist and get an acne? Because like I have acne and I don't want to look like this, or should I get a sleeping medication? I'm not sleeping well, and so at one point, I just realized though, like all of these things are connected. If I go to the dermatologist and get a prescription for acne,
Mm.
then if that's not helping the anxiety or the sleep issues or the gut issues, and I knew that they were all connected. And this is where my gratitude comes in, because I think because I am so sensitive, like we were just saying, like maybe that's a good thing. Like maybe that's my gift that my body is telling me. There's so many things that like we have to address, and while it's uncomfortable, it's it lets me. And so that is something that I work on with my clients. Is like, don't spiral. If you are feeling a certain way, sometimes it is good to pinpoint it, figure it out, address it, but at the same time, just understand that everything is working together. And if you're working on healing this one thing, as a ripple effect, this other thing might subside. So you don't have to really target everything in isolation.
Mm.
Just, I think at the end of the day, we're detoxifying the body at a safe, pace, and we're replenishing nutrients that we've lost over all the years. It's really what it comes down to. But yeah, I would say listening to the body is like, it's just one of the most important things you can do.
Yeah, our medical system is really good at fixing things, but we're not very good at preventing
Right.
things. Um,
Exactly. And this is no shade to that.
mm,
I think that both should exist, the holistic route and
right.
also real acute situations. It'll call for medication. I think to get you on, if you really need to be on something to get you out of a slump so that you can start to implement those real foundational pieces and the detox work, that is absolutely fine. But I just think long term,
Hmm.
what are we going to stay on this for the rest of our lives? That's where I think, personally, I wouldn't advise my clients or anyone I
Hmm.
know to long term
Yeah.
rely on that.
Yeah, I agree. I think that our bodies are incredible. Like, I'm always fascinated by the body and just like the things that happen
Yeah,
without us even thinking about it, even just breathing. It's pretty
I
incredible
know.
that we have these bodies that want to heal and want to function properly. And of course, there are times when people need, like you said, medications or some kind of
Right,
um, intervention, medical intervention. But for the most
right.
part, yeah, I think they do respond well to when we're treating our
Yeah,
bodies well. I agree.
absolutely. It's amazing. And I've experienced that for myself too, again, because I'm so sensitive. So if I have this input that's a healing modality that, and I'm like, oh my gosh, my body's responding so well to this now. When you give it what it wants, what it needs, it's like, it feels
Mm-hmm.
amazing. They're always responding. They're always listening. They're always, even in the darkest of moments where it feels like you can't find relief, it's working.
Hmm.
It's working for you.
Yeah, and I'm glad that you brought up this story about acne because that your story on your Instagram
Yeah.
page literally blew my mind. Like
Yeah.
how, I guess I'm just curious, like how long did it take?
Yeah.
Anything that you can share about that whole process because it is such a transformation.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think as far as how long does any of this take, it really depends on the person. For me, it has taken, for some, it could only maybe take 6 months. I'm not entirely sure, but the whole acne piece, for me at least, what I experienced is if your gut and your liver are overburdened, especially your liver, if your liver is trying to detoxify everything that it's overburdened with, right?
Mhm.
And it can't, and you're not eliminating properly, and everything's just like recirculating, it's going to show up through your largest organ, which is your. So essentially, I just kept thinking, like, is it hormones? It's not only hormones. Of course, that was a piece of it, but it was just like, what is it? Like, I'm not in the right part of my month. Like, why am I breaking out? And it's simply just because, like, my body just could not process everything, hormones, anything physical, anything emotional as well. And it's just, it would come out through my skin, no matter what time of the month it was, anything. And so what really moved the needle for my skin was cleansing and doing parasite cleansing, liver flushes, and really just like physically moving things out of my body. And it worked wonders. Seriously, I never thought I could be the kind of person to. I really thought it was just going to impact me for the rest of my life. I did not understand it.
Wow.
It was just like years and years of just like always having something on my face. And yes, of course, at some point I did need to remove anything that was causing inflammation, like gluten and dairy and sugar and soy and just anything that was particular to my specific sensitivities. But that was temporary. And I think that a lot of people assume, oh, I can't eat dairy, like I'll break out, or I can't eat this and I can't do that. I can't even wear this makeup, or they always think it's something like external like that. And it really starts within. So if you remove your triggers so that your system feels safe enough to start the detox process, that's one thing. But then one of the best parts about it was being able to not have to micromanage every move I did, and I could eat what I want, and I wouldn't have to be so concerned about what I was putting on my skin. Of course, I use nice skincare and it's all natural and things like that, but it wasn't such, oh my God, is this going to make me break out today? And like, I just wouldn't have to be so paranoid about it because it's all internal. And that's really how I see it with any skin issues, like with eczema, psoriasis, rashes, rosacea. In my experience and my clients' experience, it has been an internal issue that I believe really is a reflection of the state of your liver
Wow.
and how overburdened it is. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
So,
great. It's incredible. I encourage everyone to go check that out if that's a concern
yeah.
that people have, because I have experienced it myself and I'm very intrigued by your
Yeah.
story.
And again, it's not the only way. I don't like I said, for me and my experiences, it's just, again, going back to just throwing supplements at the system,
Right.
right? It's like throwing a bucket of water at a burning building. It's like we can only take so many things and try so many different face washes, and then it's all, you got to clear it out, in my opinion, to really let that shine through.
Yeah, it's such a great visual.
Yeah.
I don't know, it's gross, but it reminds me of just like my vacuum cleaner
Yeah.
filter. Like I have to literally
Literally.
sponge it out with like soap and water because it starts to smell and it gets gross.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
that's
That's exactly how it is.
Mhm.
Really, it's just, yeah, there's only so much we can do and so much we can buy. And just
Mhm.
like, we got to really just get things back into flow.
Mhm. Yeah.
That's really what I
And
found.
speaking of
Yeah.
alcohol, if people are
Yeah.
consuming alcohol, it's just delaying the process even
Oh,
more.
yeah.
Right?
Even more. Your poor liver is like,
Yeah,
I'm trying so hard, all of this.
exactly.
And now you have this toxic poison.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So for people that are listening that maybe are not realizing like, oh, this symptom could be an internal problem. Do you see any other signs that people might consider?
Yeah. As far as like symptoms that kind of coincide with all
Yeah,
this.
like acne
Yeah.
or you said a lot of
Yeah. I would
skin.
say definitely skin issues, definitely fatigue. Fatigue is a big one because there's so many reasons why we can feel that fatigue, but it goes hand in hand. I would say also sleepless nights. Not fully sleepless, but if you're waking between 2 and 4 a.m., that typically points to liver
Yeah,
stagnation because
I've heard
that's
that.
kind of when the liver, yeah, it's like it's up and it's dumping, and if it's overburdened, you're gonna blood sugar issues, definitely a big one with the liver.
Mm,
What else? Anxiety is a big one. I think, yeah, just general, just like also irritability.
hmm
The liver is the kind of the seat of a lot of emotions, especially anger and irritability. So I definitely found I'm much just calmer and less irritable, and just it really like lifts the weight off your shoulder when you clear it all out, and you feel like you're just in flow. There's really no better feeling.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
yeah,
I know it takes a long time, but is there anything that people can start doing like today that would be
yeah.
beneficial that you
Oh,
recommend?
absolutely. I would say the foundational
parts of this journey are so important. And I feel like when we discover, okay, like I want to detox, I want to cleanse, I want to do all these things, we want to jump to that. And it's actually really, it can be dangerous, honestly. So the foundational pieces are so critical. They sound almost just too easy, right? We're always like, oh, what's this big, scary healing modality that's going to save my life? But really, it comes back to the basics. I would say optimizing your circadian rhythm, optimizing your blood sugar, movement, sleeping enough, right? Again, that comes back to circadian rhythm, but I think that we bombard our eyes at night with blue light.
Right.
And I think that optimizing your circadian rhythm and getting steady sleep, it does wonders for your drainage path. I noticed that so much when I started to wear blue blockers and my phone on, there's like a red feature you can put on your screen just to mellow out before bed. And that took a lot from my digestion and just getting things moving. So I would say, yeah, really bringing it back to the basics is going to really help pump your lymph and your glimpse while you're sleeping, so your brain can literally drain, things like that, to get your drainage pathways just like back in flow again. Castor oil packs are amazing. They're a great way to start opening up the liver a little bit and getting it stimulated. So yeah, anyone listening, just really take it back to the basics, kind of things that we have forgotten about. In the wellness world, I think we're all pretty, probably anybody listening to this is probably on top of it, but definitely something to prioritize before embarking on a more deeper detox.
Yeah, it's not glamorous or glitzy.
Yeah,
Sustainable
no,
change
but it's,
never really
yeah,
is. It's always the
exactly.
mundane little things. But just to clarify, like
Yeah,
circadian rhythm is we're really talking about sleep hygiene, right? Like sleeping when
yeah,
it's dark, 10 to 6, I've
yeah,
heard, in a dark room without a lot of distractions and getting
yeah,
sunlight first thing in the morning or
yeah.
some kind of
The
light.
sunlight.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Mhm.
also just throughout the day as well. Of course, the morning sun is super important before you look at your phone, but letting your body know what time it is throughout the day, even just for 5 minutes. I know we all have busy lives and jobs, and we can't be outside all the time, but if you just give yourself 5 minutes here and there throughout the day, you're letting your body know what time it is so it can produce the right hormones. And
Mhm.
it's super important to get that melatonin activated.
Mhm.
So it's sending a signal to your body to produce it so that 12 hours later you're able to fall asleep as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, my first career was in personal training, and the clients that had the hardest time were the ones that worked the overnight shift. And I think it
Yeah.
really was. It's
I
just so
know.
disruptive to our bodies.
It's
We're
so
not supposed to be
disruptive. I
awake at
know.
night.
No. No, not at all, especially with the harsh light they were
Yeah.
working under. I
Hmm.
just it like my house is so dim at night. Even if you don't want to do the red lights,
Hmm.
just some sort of warm lighting, it really goes a long way. And yeah, it's definitely it is such a foundational piece. Like you said, when we're working overnight, it's really detrimental when you can't really be in on the right clock of what your body is designed
Right.
at.
Yeah. I know. And for everyone that has to work the night shift, I totally understand. Maybe just awareness about their body, like they
Awareness,
may need
yeah.
to be doing
Yeah,
other things to compensate for that.
absolutely.
Yeah.
There's ways around it. Yeah.
Yeah, we only get one body. We gotta
I
just do our
know. I
best
know.
to take care of it.
Exactly. And I think also about just long term as well, like everything that we're doing today will impact the next 10, 20, 30 years. So it really is a
Mm.
lifelong commitment. But once you feel good, it's so
Mm.
right. Like it's not. It doesn't feel like a chore anymore
Right.
to get the morning sun and eat enough protein and exercise and sleep well and all these basic things that we just like sometimes forget. It's once you implement them, it just feels like peaceful and it just feels so good that you wouldn't even want to go back to doing it any other way. So
Hmm.
it's worth it.
Yeah. Do you ever
Yeah.
have clients that are reluctant to give up alcohol, or do you find that most of your clients come to you after some time of
Yeah.
sobriety?
I would say most of my clients are they're on board with it and they're ready and they're here. And again, it really ties back to wellness because if you want to feel well and if you want to heal and if you want to really implement these sustainable change, alcohol is it's just not serving you.
Hmm.
Of course, there have been some people have that emotional tie to it. Wow, it's something to grieve. I'm really just never going to be that person again. And even I've had those moments where it could be nice, but then you just ultimately get back to, no, I'm so much happier now. I feel
Hmm.
better even though if you're not perfect and you're still symptomatic, you still feel better than you did, and mentally too. It's just, I think most people are ready for it, but I'm of course welcome to taking on clients who are sober curious and they're not quite sure and they might not quite be so dedicated to, okay, I'm doing this for the rest of my life. That's absolutely fine too. But as long as they're willing to really make a real effort and give it a real try, then I'm absolutely open to it, because it does come down to a safety issue as well. I don't want anybody to be working through all the protocols I have for them, and then they're like, "Oh, what? I kind of want to drink." If it just doesn't really go hand in hand. If you're trying to heal your liver and your gut, like you got to remove a huge stressor,
Right.
which is alcohol. Yeah,
Yeah, or I think you were maybe starting to say people that are using alcohol to self-medicate and like the other
yeah,
issues are not being dealt with, so they're maybe using
yeah.
alcohol to cope. Yeah, that is challenging.
It is. Yeah, and if we're gonna get to the root of all this and clear those stored emotions, it's only going to further mask if we just keep running back to the thing that suppressed these emotions in the first place.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think of it like for my journey in particular is a spectrum of I was so below zero, let's say. And when I
Yeah.
removed alcohol, it was like I didn't even get to baseline. I didn't feel
Yeah.
like I was at my baseline, but that's still progress. If you're,
Yeah,
you're moving
absolutely.
from a negative amount toward zero is still progress.
It's still
Right.
progress.
Yeah. Do you have any words of wisdom when it comes to the objection of the emotional? Being human is not easy, and people do need to figure out how to be with themselves when alcohol is not shutting the lights off. I think of alcohol as the great off
Yeah,
switch to life. And
absolutely.
yeah, being with
Absolutely.
emotion.
And I do think that was something to navigate, especially in early sobriety. You're so present, like you're so aware, you're so like in your body, in your mind. And sometimes that can be really daunting. And it's almost too much because it was so much easier before to just numb. Even one drink can make you you just, it's not an issue anymore. And so it was definitely challenging to navigate in the first few months and first couple of years, because suddenly everything was just like so much bigger and more noticeable, and things that I should have just forgotten about from my drinking days that it was in the past were moved on. Everyone around me was like, "You're good, we're fine," but it was still just eating at me because I was just so overly present in my body.
Mhm.
So I think that's where a lot of just also somatic work comes into, is like really being in the body and being
Mhm.
comfortable being in your body and feeling safe in your body and listening to your body. It really is. I just found this amazing, like, just connection with my body once I really started listening to her.
Mm.
And even through the discomfort of the symptoms, at first, I did want to just escape them. I did want to just feel sorry for myself. But then
Mm.
I just came to realize it's just a relationship. And she's letting me know what's wrong, and I'm responding. And if you respond with fear and negativity, and I think that's when some of my symptoms started to get worse. I was spiraling. And so to be present in your body and in your mind as a sober woman and also navigate these unwanted symptoms, it's a challenge. But once you dive in and get through and address it and face it head on, it's just a really beautiful thing. And you just feel so deeply connected to her in all the good ways too. You feel things
Mm.
in a more, I don't even know if I'm explaining this well, but you feel the good parts 10 times better.
Mm.
It's like you're feeling fully
Mm.
instead of just like, and even
Yeah.
so, yeah, sometimes the symptoms are so uncomfortable, but then also you have these beautiful moments where it's almost like euphoric just to be alcohol free and just to be present. It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. It reminds me of grief as the opposite side of the same coin as love. Like to the
Yeah,
extent that we can grieve is the extent that we love.
yeah,
Yeah, I lost my mom in 2016, and that was such a difficult thing. But whenever I think about her, I think about love. Like it, and it's
yeah,
still grieving and it's still hard, but it's so
yeah,
much love. And I think that's the amazing thing about humans is like we have the capacity to experience such a range of emotion.
all of it.
And I think when
Yeah.
alcohol's involved, it's like you're just getting this small window, right?
Totally.
but there's like an
Totally.
ocean of just
Yeah.
human experience out there.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. It really does keep you just feeling safe and just like comfortable when you're in it with alcohol. And it's now you realize, oh wow, that was really keeping me down.
yeah.
Not worth it.
And I think another thing to point out is, to your point, really, in this whole conversation, is in the early days of sobriety, our bodies are not functioning properly. So we're probably not going to feel well. That should be
Yeah,
expected. I know, right?
exactly. Thank you for
Yeah.
saying that. It's just you're here, and it's of course once you stop drinking, it's like wow,
Yeah.
okay, I feel amazing. I can't believe I was doing this for so
Mhm.
long. But at the same time, the body's okay. We're a little run down.
Through the
Alcohol
ringer.
is yeah, through the
Mhm.
ringer, seriously. And so it does make sense that you're not going to feel 100%.
Right.
And I think, at least for me personally, seeing a lot of that online, of I don't want to call it toxic positivity because that would take away from how beautiful it is to quit drinking. Because of course, if you can overcome that and really quit drinking and be happy in sobriety, that's amazing. But at the same time, two things can be true. And I think sometimes it's okay to admit, like, it's really uncomfortable sometimes, physically,
Mhm.
emotionally. And so that's why I just want to bring that to my platform and my communities. Like, we don't have to pretend it's like this perfect world with no shame and regret. There's still a lot going on physically and emotionally. I, for one, was like, am I the only one in sobriety who doesn't feel amazing? And I think that made things worse
Yeah.
because I felt like it was so unfair. But
Absolutely. I
yeah, you
experienced that.
understand.
I'd get to 90 days and I'd be like, I don't really feel
Yeah.
better, so what's the
So,
point?
like, why am I doing this? It's so true. I've had
Mhm.
those moments
I
too.
just think that's what's so special about what you're saying is you had an inkling, or you had some kind of intuition about, no, I
Yeah.
got to keep going. And I think that's ultimately the
Yeah.
place that I got to, is like, no, I gotta, and I always say the only way out is through. So you got
I
to
love that
keep
one. I say that too.
going.
Yep. No, it's so true. And even in the times when, of course, my friends mean so well, but sometimes they would say, I'm on like this medication for my anxiety. You want to try it? Or have you ever tried this? All this stuff. And I'm like, I can't give it. No, I'm trusting this. I don't know why. I just believe it. And I know it's been really hard and it's taken a lot of time to get here. And I'm not even there yet. This is over the years. Like, I've had those moments of, I just don't know why, but I'm just trusting my
Mhm.
intuition. And I know that I'm on the right path and I have to stick with it. I didn't come this far just to get this far. And yeah,
Love it.
it's I'm proud of us,
Yeah.
at the end. So,
Yeah, and I do believe that we all have that inner knowing. So for anyone listening that thinks that it's unique, I want to challenge that. I think we just have to get quiet enough. We have to
yeah,
just
absolutely.
really listen and pay attention. Hmm.
Absolutely. I think that's the most important thing. The
Hmm.
most important lesson I've learned is like paying attention to your body, listening to your body. Symptoms are
Hmm.
messengers, and this path is yours for a reason, right? Choose it. Go down this path, and
And just to double down on that even more, is like alcohol is like deferring our agency to an outside substance, something outside of ourselves, to really take the reins of our life. And so what we're saying
yeah,
is to take that power back, right? And that
yeah,
also includes what
totally.
other people are doing. Like, we don't want someone else to have agency over our bodies either, something or someone.
Right,
So really,
right. Yeah,
we're talking about regaining that
yeah.
agency.
It's like we're reclaiming it
Hmm.
because it was always there, but we got distracted and we let other outside sources really take away our power, which is ultimately our health and
Yeah,
well-being.
definitely. Yeah, I know we're getting toward the end. Is there anything that you think is really important to share that maybe hasn't come up yet, or any?
Honestly, I feel like we have covered it. This was such a powerful
Yeah,
conversation, and
thank you so much.
I really hope that, yeah, thank you for me. I really hope that it resonates with anyone who needs to hear. And yeah, just know that you're not alone in this, and your body's not broken, and this is yours for a reason, and you just gotta get the pieces of it and to the bottom of it.
Yeah, we're joining a group of people that are raising consciousness in humanity. I think the more awake people are to their lives, in their bodies and just connected. That's the funny thing about alcohol is like they're selling, it's a $1 billion industry, which I mean, let's start there. There's some very smart people that know how to manipulate our psychology to get us to drink and think that it's fun and connection and all this stuff, but it does the exact opposite of what it says.
Totally.
Um,
Totally.
yeah,
Absolutely. And so we're going against the norm here
right.
with what we're doing. And it
Exactly.
feels so.
Yeah, that's my mission is to normalize not
Yeah.
drinking in an alcohol obsessed
Yeah.
society.
I love it. I think the alcohol-free community is really making
Mhm.
there.
Yeah, I'm encouraged. I wish you well on your journey personally and
Thank you.
professionally. And yeah, I'll link all of your information in the show notes for anyone that wants to get in touch with you. But yeah, again, just thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
I really appreciate it.
Okay.